Hello YouTube, and today we're taking a look at a new landing page. This time is the company called Sunsama, which is a Y Combinator Winter 2019 graduate company, and they have launched right now on Hacker News. They're on the front page, and I was like, this is a great opportunity for us to take a look at what some of the best companies that got funding and are fresh out of Y Combinator doing. So without further ado, let's take a look at this website. As usual, I will first take a look at the landing page. I will differentiate the different sections, and then I will tell you what's good about this landing page, and then I will tell you what's not so good and could be improved. So let's jump right in. So Sunsama, the daily planner for elite professionals. So there is definitely a header and a subheader, and then there is this interesting call to action with email, which, it works perfectly when you don't really have a product for people to sign up and register and get started with. Or at least when you want to control the flow of the signups, right? It's a very growth hacky kind of way to get someone's email before even having them try out the product. Or you could say that it's even a smarter way to get the email even before, right, signing up. So depends how you see this. The second section here is the social proof. It tells you that this company isn't kidding, they're not joking around. They already have gathered interest from different people at quite big companies, as you can see. Definitely big names stand out from the social proof section. And then the next section here is usually when it talks about the problem, when it talks about the issue that the user is facing. It usually starts around here. So this is kind of section 1. So this one is the typical Z pattern, and there's a little bit of text, and then there's an image, and then the next is going to be image followed by text, right? And as we scroll, you can see that that is the case. So let's take a look at what this section is saying. So prioritize your work day by day. So this could kind of be a problem where people have issues prioritizing work, and they don't really know what is the tool that could help them prioritize work. They get overrun, they get overwhelmed, and this tool kind of sets its goal to help these people. And then, so this is kind of like the main idea that I get from this section. The next section here, it's basically talking about how this tool kind of works in the big scheme, right? So it pulls all of your work from different integrations on different platforms, Trello, Gmail, Asana, and then I guess it shows you that you can reorganize the tasks with the interface that they provide you in any way that fits best for you. And then there's another feature here that allows you to basically keep track of what you've been doing as a calendar view. So connecting with Google Calendar, you can see what's on your schedule and plan accordingly. So basically, because you can see what meetings you have, you can therefore prioritize tasks accordingly, right? The next section here, it's still part of the previous section, this big, huge section, which is kind of a mash between the problem, the solution, the feature, and how they approach it, is this one here. See what the rest of your team is doing today. So giving you kind of like a head-up display, kind of generic overview of what everyone's doing, and that is pretty much kind of like Zen Hub for GitHub or Trello or any of those tools that allow you to see what people are working on. And then the final section here, so I would call this section 2, it's basically this follow-up social proof where you're basically being told that you're in good hands and that companies at YC, partners at LSVP, which is the Lightspeed Ventures, and then names and face, they're saying something good about the product. I use Sunsama to help me keep track of everything and make sure the most important things get done. Sunsama helps me make better decisions and stay focused on my priorities rather than just reacting to my schedule. And then basically, this is good. The only thing that kind of like upsets me about this page, this section here rather, is um, is the fact that these companies, they are not the same companies that were mentioned up here. So I see this, to the if you focus on these things, right? If you're like introspective about this, you'll these things stand out. But I don't want to talk too much about the bad things yet. And then finally, we have a footer with some kind of like lead magnet, and then a very interesting footer that has a bunch of interesting different sections, feature use cases, integrations, and then help. Okay, so definitely a very simple landing page, and then in the menu you have a why page. Why are they building this? And you're working all the time but struggling to keep up. Your endless to-do list constantly stressing you out. This very minimalistic imagery that kind of, you know, pictures in your head the fact that you're burning out. If you're doing things this way, you're gonna burn out. And then basically a stab at your favorite project management tool, basically saying it's not fit enough, and etc etc etc, and that's that, right? So going back to the homepage, these are the two main pages that the website is providing you with as you land on the page, because as you know, most of these people won't really get to analyzing each link in the footer, right? So okay, so let's talk a little bit about what I think is wrong about this page and what I would do better if I were to redesign this page, or to at least suggest some improvement that people could do if they were in the same situation. So, the daily planner for elite professionals. So the first thing I don't like about this is your audience is not really well defined. Elite professionals, it could be literally anybody. And the fact that you're using the word elite, it's kind of like off-putting to a certain extent. I'm definitely missing what is the most important benefit that comes out of using this tool. So whether it's like connecting to all your most used tools and like making sense of the task based on that data, something like that would have probably worked a little bit better. As you know, when usually you get into the header, your H1, what people want to see is like what the tool is, why you're doing this, and what sets it away from all the competition that's out there. So when I read your header and your subheader, I don't get that feeling. I just get like this is just yet another tool to do like task management. And I think that's the other thing, right? Like in your subheader, you failed to mention the fact that the most important thing that your tool does is it pulls information from all these other tools, platforms, and allows you to rearrange them in a smart way, in a way where it's like actually data driven and like process driven, right? Like, so if you have a meeting in 2 hours and you haven't done your task, then you better start working on the task, right? So I think that's kind of the problem. Now, your testimonials, people usually leverage authority bias. It's important to get like feedback from people who are, I would say, important, or at least recognizable. So the fact that you have companies here, that's great, but then when you follow up down here and you put your second part of social proof at the bottom, I'm wondering, could you have done a better job and mixed these two sections together? So this, and maybe gotten a few testimonials from people at these companies, or at least replace some of this, or add some logos here and have Lightspeed Ventures and these names and faces, which I'm not too familiar with, but I'm sure it's a great company. Now, drilling down into your section 1, I think this section is way too long, and the problem with that is that you're not really differentiating between the problem, which instead you've taken into a second page, the why Sunsama, right? So what is the problem is, if you click here, you're struggling to keep up with all the tasks, all the work, all this text here. You could have totally created a section up here, let's call it section 0, where you talk about the problem. You introduce what is the thing that people, what is the struggle that the user are facing, and then you provide a solution, but you also want to mention what is the current way that people are struggling, right? It's the fact that people are using tools, right? Like maybe Trello or Asana, and those things don't really connect with your calendar, they don't connect with what's really important next, right? So you instead kind of like have this like hybrid section where you talk about the features and you talk about how your tool works, but you're not really emphasizing and empathizing with your users, with the struggle they're facing, with the way they're doing things and why you think it's wrong, and you're not highlighting why your tool is better compared to all the other million tools that are out there that are trying to solve the same issue. Another important thing that you're missing from this page is, why should I use you? How much money are you saving me? How much time, are you saving me using your tool versus the competition, So like, that's something that I would totally put on the page. I would show you like how you're better than X, Y, or Z, because a lot of people are familiar with X, Y, Z and they've never heard of Sunsama. So there's that. And yeah, so these are the things that I would improve on. And finally, there's no pricing. I think that's my last point is you're definitely missing pricing on this. I don't know how much this is going to cost. I have no indication if this is going to be free, is going to be not, premium, freemium, whatever. There's no mention of anywhere, not even in the footer. There's nothing about it. There is also nothing about you, like you and the company. And I know if I go on the Hacker News page, you're telling me that you've failed at launching another couple of companies, but this one here, not much about who you are and why you're doing this. So I think one last thing, and is that your lead magnet, you should probably give something away for free so that you can get people's email addresses, and then from there, as pretty much any marketer will tell you, once you have their email address, you can start some kind of like drip campaign and send one email, send two emails, and try and like figure out who your customers are, and if what do they need from you, like before they even start signing up to the product. So okay, I think that's all I have for you. I hope this helped. If it did, please do subscribe to my channel, or if you're feeling really generous, I have a Patreon page set up, and I would love you to be my patron. So thank you. See you soon.